Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the book Refuge and welcome to my 4-year Booktube anniversary Q&A. So I haven't done a Q&A in a while. I think I did a live Q&A for maybe like when I hit 10,000 or something. I'm not sure. But this one was really extensive because I'm doing a giveaway, which by the way, I was planning to be ready to like draw the name and announce it in this video, but I was able to film this earlier than that. But keep an eye out. I'll be contacting the winner of that. I will have contacted them by the time you see this because I'm planning to put this video up like on my actual Booktube anniversary. But it's crazy. It's crazy. I started this channel in 2018. That blows my mind. It blows my mind that, hold on, I think I have my, established in 2018. That's crazy. This is a mug for the giveaway. I can't believe that I picking a name is a weird thing. A lot of people, their names are just like their channel name. But things are weird. It has been a crazy journey, and like the opportunities that I've had / will have / the friends that I've made have been more than I ever could have hoped for. And I'm humbled every day. Like, don't think for one second I take it for granted that I'm able to have the audience that I do and that I'm able to chat with the people that I do. And now, like, to even get paid to do it. I mean, that is a gift that a lot of people don't get. I mean, and even to be paid just enough to offset the amount that I spent on books, which that took a long time to get there. I'm probably still in a deficit for how many books I've bought over the years, but I just feel so lucky. And that's all because of each one of you who've hit the subscribe button, who've watched a video, who've liked a video, who've sent me recommendations, who've encouraged me. So I won't spend too much time on that because I have 4 pages of questions. I think I have almost 60 of them. I did condense some of them because there were doubles of some things, but I broke these into 4 categories, and so I will have timestamps down below for the categories that they're in. I have them, category number 1 is channel related. So either like goals or how I do it, stuff like that. Number 2 is personal. So, my personal life or things that are directed directly to me. 3 are books or tropes. So questions like if you could choose this or this type of thing. We'll get to those. And then the 4th one will be like recommendations. People straight up asking for like, what's a recommendation for this? So we're going to go ahead and do that. I did it in a very non-conventional way. So I'm going to have to look at my paper and cross things off as we go. But we're going to start with channel questions. And I hope that I have them kind of like chronological, but they might not be because I didn't want to spend hours doing this. I want it to be as natural as possible. But here we go. The first question was, what made you start your channel? Of course, I had a lot of questions about this, a variation too of like, what made you want to talk about books? Like, what are we gonna, So 4 years ago when I did my, first video, which was a Booktube newbie tag, which I filmed while I was holding the camera with my hand, nice and awkwardly, I didn't see people talking about the books that I wanted to talk about. And I did start more in the like fantasy area. I wasn't specifically called a fantasy booktube channel, but that's what I was reading the most. I was reading YA and fantasy, and I was still reading romance because I've read romance my entire life that I've been a reader, but I didn't like specifically call myself that. And I had seen Murphy Napier. I had watched one of her videos, one of her old ones, like her channel only had like 5,000 subscribers when I first found her. And she was gushing about a book that she loved. And so many of the videos I'd seen was either people doing rant reviews about books, or they were all talking about the same book. Now, I will, go more into detail about that in another question, but I was just like, she just films in front of her bookcase. She, at that time, she didn't have a high production value. She just had a ring, she just had a light and her camera, and she talked and then did it. And she wasn't perfectly eloquent at the time. She's, you know, she's fantastic now. Her channel is way beyond it, you know. But she gave me, without ever knowing it, she gave me the encouragement to do it. Because a lot of the other booktubers I was watching, they were reviewing, you know, all of the big stuff. They had, you know, 50 to hundreds of thousands of followers. And I was like, I don't look like them. I'm this fat, chubby girl with glasses who's obnoxious. And like, I had all those feelings, you know, I had all those feelings. But I had gotten some great advice from, I don't even know whose video said this, but I think it was one of my friends who they had put up videos before. They were like, no one's going to watch this but your friends when you start. And so I had just gotten a new phone. I had gotten, back then, I don't remember what I had. I think I had the Samsung 8 back then, the Galaxy 8. And I had seen a YouTube video about how to edit on my phone and do all of that, which one of the questions we get to will be about the equipment I use. But they had shown how to edit a video and do all of it right from their phone. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to try one. So I did it and put it up, and sure enough, 2 people watched it. But I had the bug, and there was so many books that I wanted to talk about that I'd never seen anyone talk about. And so I went for it. We're already going to be in trouble. That's how long it took. The next one. What advice would you give to someone who is thinking about starting a booktube channel? And we'll probably have a few variations on this question because, of course, everyone wants to know that. So the advice that I give people is that you're going to make mistakes, but it's okay because no one is watching you, okay? Especially if you don't already have like a Bookstagram or a TikTok or any of those things, which you don't need to have when you start. Like, no one's watching you. And I know that sounds depressing. I understand that I'm someone with 13,000 subscribers telling you no one's watching you, but it's the truth. When you first put it out there, the algorithm's not picking you up. You know, they're not pointing anyone towards you. Only the people that you directly put the video in front of, you know, like if you're sharing it on Facebook with your family, or you have friends here on Booktube who you're like, please check me out. Like, that's who's going to see it. And you're maybe going to have not even like 5 subscribers for a long time. And you need to be okay with that. If you're not going to be okay with that, if it's going to make you question your value, if it's going to depress you that you don't immediately have 10,000 views on a video, like, you need to think about it, okay? And I know that that's not the most like encouraging advice, but I mean it to be, because the greatest thing is that you can make mistakes and no one's watching it. No one's waiting to cancel you for saying the wrong thing. You get to practice with no one looking at you. And later on, if you don't like those videos, you can private those. But I think they're important, and it's why most of my oldest videos are still available. There's a few that I have privated over time because I realized I shared things that I didn't want to, or they had, you know, my nieces in them or things like that, where like, I don't want them there now. Not that people can find them, and not that I'm big enough for that, but if I ever do, I don't want them available. But my biggest advice, who you're thinking about doing it, because there is a question more about how to grow, which we'll talk about that, but if you're thinking about starting it, my advice is to know that no one's watching you. You can make all the mistakes you want. You can figure out what you like and start coming up with your style, because there will be a day where someone finds you who likes you and they're going to watch every video you've ever made. Okay. That happens to me daily. That someone messages me and says, Jen, I found your videos last week and I've watched your entire backlog of videos. And you're going to be like, whew, all right, I apologize to you for some of those videos back then. But there will be people who appreciate them. And once they find you and they like your style and your voice, they're going to watch it, all of it. And those videos you made 4 years ago where you think you look fat, or you hate your nose in that one, or there was some of my videos where I'm missing a tooth because I had to have dental work done, where I just cringe. That person's listening to it to hear my opinion on books. They're not judging my face. There are people who will judge your face, but most of them are there for what you say. Practice how you speak. Get comfortable talking to the camera. A lot of people, they're like, how do you get comfortable talking to the camera? I practiced. You know, I have how many do I have? Probably have like 800 plus videos. It's practice. I was not great. And I still get comments like, I don't always stare at the camera the right way. I don't always look at myself the right way. I look down a lot. I do things. And I still get people are like, would you just look at the camera? Or why do you always play with your hair? Or, oh, you're picking at your teeth, or you're doing this. And I just am like, I ignore those now, because I'm like, yeah, I have how many other thousands of people who like me just fine, and they appreciate the realness of we're having a conversation. If you're having a conversation with someone in person, they're not perfectly going to be staring deep into your eyes the whole time, you know. Anyway, practice. Okay, the next one. What has been your favorite and least favorite parts of becoming a member of the Booktube community? So, being specific to like the romance community, I don't like cancel culture. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I believe in everyone gets to say what they want to say. You as an individual can decide if you want to listen to what that person has to say. But making a stand about something and saying, this person is disgusting, stop reading their books, or, oh, this person accidentally did this thing, but they won't apologize for it, so we need to hate on them. Like, I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. It's why I don't make a lot of comments about things unless something has very seriously hurt me or my friends. I have been known to talk about it, but otherwise I keep out of it because I'm here for the books. I like tea. I love tea, y'all. I love tea. And I talk with my gal pals about it all the time. Like, I have my booktuber friends that if there's tea going on, we're talking about it. But I don't make it public because I don't want to drag other people into drama. I don't want to speak badly about someone on my channel and have the reputation of being like that person. Like, I'm here for the books. Sometimes I might rage about a book, but more than not, when you turn into a video here, you are getting my positive views on things. And if I don't like something, kind of the constructive reasons why I don't. I'm here to give book recommendations and maybe warn you away from one or two that I think are disturbing. But I'm not here to pass judgment on other humans. I'm not God. It's not my place. If I see a person behaving badly that I don't like, I will stay away from them. I'm an intelligent woman. I'll make that decision for myself. I don't need other people telling me like, this is so bad that this person did that. Did you know? Did you know that they did this? And I'll be like, yeah, I heard about it. I'm probably not going to buy their books. But I'm not going to use my platform to do that. I'm just not. And other people don't agree with me. And I know that. I see that on their channels. And that is a decision they've made. But I don't like it. And the more and more I see certain creators make those videos, the less that I watch them. Because I don't know when I'm going into their video, are they giving me recommendations or are they trying to tell me who I can't speak with and who I can't purchase? So I don't like that. The things that I do love, the friends that I've made, I think a lot of us during lockdowns, we needed happiness. And I mean, that's when the romance community really bloomed. There's a lot of people who started new channels. There was a lot of people, there was a lot of cooperation with us. There was readathons that we did. I made friends with people that I never would have met them otherwise, you know, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. There's people that we maybe have nothing in common but books, and I love talking to that person. We have someone that I just would have thought there's nothing similar about us at all, and romance novels bridge the gap, and then you're able to learn even more about them and realize that, oh, we actually grew up really similar. Oh, that happened to you too? I've experienced that. And so I love that. And I mean, obviously, when we all get really excited about a book that we all love, that's really fun. I love our read-alongs and like reading sprints. That's something that the romance crew, like, you know, we started during COVID, and now it more happens like individually on people's channels. But I love that as a single person who was very isolated, even more than others during that time, having a community that I could just hang out and read with them in silence virtually was very important to me. So I'm taking way too long on questions. Okay, here's one. What would you recommend for people to do to get more involved with the Booktube community and their favorite creators? So a few of the things, you know, that I was just mentioning there, like I say join readathons, post about them. You should have an Instagram at least. Join groups on Facebook. That's something that like is underrated, but pretty much any author that you like, they have a Facebook group. They're doing giveaways in those groups. They're doing chats about books. They're asking for recommendations. They're, you know, whatever. And then if you start a channel, a lot of those you could be like, yeah, I recently just started my channel, and do you guys have any ideas for videos I could do? Because then you're not straight up promoting yourself, but you're telling people about it, you know, asking for recommendations, asking for advice. I think that's a I think that's a great way to start getting out there, because you're not, the thing you don't want to do, and it's counterintuitive because it's literally what we all want. We do. You don't want to say, hey, please come check out my channel. Any creator of any size, if you pop into their comments and you're like, oh, I love your stuff, will you check out mine? That's just, they're going to delete your comment or they're going to ignore it, and they might be even less willing to check you out. Like, ways that I notice people and people notice me is that you become consistent viewers. And I know you can't do this with everyone, but if there is a creator that you really like them, like, start consistently watching and commenting on their videos all the time. Like, one of my dearest friends, I started noticing her in my comments all the time. And then I noticed that, like, her handle was a Booktube channel. And so then I went to it and I started watching. And I just was really captivated by them. So I also put, join readathons, join Facebook pages, ask questions, join Discords. A lot of people have Discords. I know people don't fully know how that works. And so, like, even in my Discord, like, it can get pretty stagnant. But, like, asking questions, asking for recs, discussing books, asking if we can do buddy reads, like, it will take action. Like, when people ask, like, how do you recommend getting involved? That's the key word, is, like, you need to involve yourself. You know, if the community's not going to find you, you have to find them. And I know that's harder for some people than others, but remember, like, you're not having to go meet this person in person right away. You know, like, you can be, or at all, I know I said right away, but, like, or at all, you can be brave. You can be brave. And especially if you're being kind and you genuinely are wanting to talk about books, and if you have more opinions than just, okay, that was good, you're going to get people engaged with you. Because I don't know any creators that if on their channel you put in a really good, you know, message that, like, oh, I also love Dreaming of You. I didn't really love that Derek Craven, like, did this. Like, what do you think? If they are a creator who has, like, you know, a decent amount of, like, I mean, because I'm trying to say, like, I don't know what the threshold is. I still see all of my comments. I don't comment on every comment I get, but I read every comment that I see. If someone's asking a question like that, I'm going to take the time to answer it, and you can start a dialogue with them, you know? So yeah, that was a little bit chaotic, but those are the things that I suggest. As I was like, the Bookstagram community is also really good, because you can more immediately be engaging with people. But yeah, join the places for discussion. You know, like, there are some people that they just would always comment on my reviews, even on Goodreads. Like, there's a couple friends that, like, I just noticed this one person commenting on all of my Goodreads reviews for a certain series that I was reading. And then I looked them up on Instagram and I was like, oh, this person reads the same as me, and I liked it. So, love it. What are some of your future goals for the channel? So, I mean, I don't have, like, it's so tough because I do make yearly goals. I don't have that one with me. My goal for the end of this year is to hit 16K. That's my goal for the end of 2022. My Bookstagram, I'd like to get to 6K. I like to keep my goals, like, reasonable. But who knows, like, you can hit a stagnation point at any time. Like, there are people that I've been following them for years that I have passed them, and I don't understand how. You know, like, they've been making videos for 3 years longer than me, and I have more than them now. I don't know what it is. Sometimes you just hit with something and you do. So 16K is my goal, but could I stagnate at, like, 14K and be that way for a while? Sure. I would still consider myself successful because I'm still going to be making money off of that. I'm still going to be getting the views that I need. Like, your views, I've said, you know, I've said this too, like, the viewing hours and the amount of views you get are much, much more indicative of how much money you'll make and how well you're seen to be doing by YouTube than your subscriber number, which I know that's tough to get around our head because we praise people a lot based on what their subscriber number is. But you could only have, like, let's say you have 3,000 subscribers, but you've been monetized now, you know, you've made it, you're monetized. If you have some videos that are getting you thousands of viewing hours, that's what your money's coming off of, you know? So I guess it depends too on, like, what's your success, what's your goals. You know, in my heart, like, my goal, my ultimate goal is I want to hit 50K someday. Not a lot of romance booktubers have gotten there. That is a goal for me. Is that the goal for next year? No, that is my like 10-year plan in Booktube. You know, that's a long ways from now. But things can happen like crazy. There can be a video that hits just right. There can be someone who shouts you out, and that stuff is magic. But if I look based on what my steady plans are, whatever, I should hit 16K by the end of the year. That's a goal for that. I also would like to hit like 150 channel members by the end of the year. I don't know if that'll happen. I'm at almost 100 right now. I don't know. I also would eventually like to have a Patreon that doesn't really have extra goals, but is another option for people to support me. That's something that I would like to do eventually, because I think some people trust Patreon more than they do YouTube. So I'd like to have that. But my ultimate goal is always just keeping my community positive. You know, like I said for a previous question, like I want this to be a positive, fun place to be and never to sink into negativity. So that is a main goal for me, because I believe if I keep my channel positive and about the books and about the excitement of reading and the happiness of romance, that my channel is only going to go up, because who doesn't want to be around that, you know? Okay, another one. Do you take notes on what you read? Rarely. I really only take notes for book club, which I know people don't fully believe, but because there's another question. I don't know if I have it under this category or not. We'll see. It was a bit arbitrary too how I picked some of these categories, but I really only take notes about book club books. But when I fill out my book form, like I fill out a book form for every book that I read, I have my spreadsheet, and I note like what the tropes are, what the kinks maybe are, any triggers, who the main characters are. That's something I've started with this year, is writing the characters. You know, in previous years, I would be like, oh, I can't remember the character's name. I always write the character's names down. And then my rating and my spice rating. And then when I'm doing my weekly wrap-ups, that information is usually enough for me to be like, oh yeah, and this is what was happening. I don't always remember stuff perfectly, as you know, but if I loved a book, I know what happened. And if I didn't love the book, well, then I don't need to say as much about it anyway, because I didn't care. So there's that. Let's see. Turn the page here. What is your favorite Booktube memory? There's a couple things with this. So my favorite memory that's kind of Booktube, kind of life, was going to see Crystal in Utah last year. To date, that is the best experience that Booktube has afforded me, right? That is a friendship, that is a relationship that I would not have without talking about books. I depend on that woman more than I should, but I'm so happy to have her love and friendship and support. And she, honest to God, is family to me. And so that's my favorite Booktube memory as of now. I mean, it probably will always be very up at the top. There are some certain hopeful things maybe going to happen soon that are going to be other great Booktube things. You know, for the most part, all of the channel growth that I've had majorly has happened during COVID, and so there was a lot of events and things I would have liked to do that just never got to happen because the world was shut down. And now that my channel's getting bigger, there are options, and now I work a job where like I still have a lot of flexibility, but I don't make as much money as I did, so it's more difficult. But that's my favorite memory. What are the best and worst moments of Booktube in the past 4 years? So I don't have a worse moment. Like, I don't have anything that's made me feel bad. Like, I can't think of one. But some of the best things that have happened, there's a couple. The author interviews that I've had, those are always a highlight. My first interview with Sophie is still probably one of my favorite things. I loved talking with her and Rye. It was amazing. Talking with Jennifer Ashley and JT Geisinger, that is amazing to me. That Booktube has allowed like me to read a book, love it so much, and be able to talk to the person who created that is amazing. And then also, this is another thing Crystal did for me. When Julia Quinn shouted me out on her Instagram when she was signing my book. Crystal ordered a signed copy of The Duke and I for Christmas for me in 2020. And when Julia Quinn was signing my book, she like sent a picture of it, and I cried. I ugly cried about that. I could cry right now. Even though I'm disappointed in season 2 of Bridgerton, that's not Julia Quinn's fault, and I will love her forever. And a future goal of the channel is to interview Julia Quinn one day. I don't know if that will happen, but we'll see. Devoted fans are often the harshest critics. Are there any incidents where you think things have gone overboard? No, I've never had someone go overboard. If I've had people say rude things, I delete the comment. Sometimes they stick with me and I'll need to like talk to a friend to shake it out. But the people commenting, saying mean things to you or whatever, they don't know me. They don't know me. They don't know my heart. They don't know who I am. And so someone's going based off of your reading tastes and they will call you bad names. I mostly let it go. If anything, it'll sit with me for a little bit and then it's gone. I think, well, speaking of the worst, there is that one. It wasn't really booktube related, but I'd had a fellow booktuber who, we weren't friends. I mostly knew this person from TikTok. We didn't really chat. I had done a TikTok about Outlander saying that book readers were true fans. It was completely a joke. Like, it was completely a joke. But it also was true that people who read the books, they know more. It's a fact. It's a fact. I wasn't dissing show watchers. I only became a fan of the books because I watched the show. Let us not forget. And this person saw my TikTok and called me some horrible names and then voice messaged me that I'm like a bad example and all these things. And I hated that. And all my friends really like supported me and were like, that person's a bitch. And anyway, but no one who's like a devoted fan has like went too far, because if someone's a devoted, like I don't have fan boys or girls or anything. Like I'm pretty isolated where I am. I know there are a couple people in town who know who I am because they've like messaged me on Instagram that they saw me or whatever, but nobody's like a like fan who's, you know, I don't know, knock on wood, but it's never been scary or anything. So, okay, so then this one is like, what advice would you give smaller creators to help them grow? And this I broke down into 3 things to help you grow. I wrote, you should be consistent. For 4 years, I have put up 3 to 4 videos every single week. I'm not saying your consistency needs to be 4 videos a week. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that if you start a pattern of when you upload, try to stick to it as much as you can and for as big of stretches as you can. Don't promise 2 videos a week and then only be able to do that for 2 weeks and then you have to take a month off because of something and then do it again, whatever. Find what is reasonable for you and make that a pattern for always and stick with it, okay? I need to talk faster. So consistency, be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, you'll make mistakes, and have a thick skin. There we go. Do you have any pets? I do not. I grew up with tons of pets. My family has horses, cows, chickens. We've had goats. We've had, my family raised dogs. They still do. Cocker spaniels and Dobermans. We've had rabbits and squirrels and all these things. And I love pets, but I can't have them where I live. What is your favorite video you've ever made? For me, my Outlander book reviews, I did those completely for me, and they still get views all the time. When people are binging the books, they will watch all my reviews. I love them. And then also my taboo book recs, because there aren't enough of those on Booktube. There are a lot more like on TikTok now, because TikTok lets you throw those up. But I'm very proud of my taboo book recs. What is the most challenging part of being a content creator and maintaining real life balance? I don't have many real life plans, and I don't recommend that for everyone. But, you know, there's going to be a question here about my reading speed and things soon, but I don't have a life, okay? And I'm not suggesting that for you. Don't quit your life. But especially since COVID, I didn't leave my house, and a lot of my relationships and things have changed. I have things on Sunday, but otherwise I have no commitments. So I don't have trouble having a like life Booktube balance. I have a problem having a life outside of Booktube at all. And when I have the opportunities for that, I will cut back on Booktube a bit or find a new balance. But I haven't had to do that yet. Was it hard for you to post your first video. Like I said, once I decided to do it, I didn't think about it too much. I had watched a video about how to edit on my phone, and I mostly just was checking it out to see if I could do it. So I filmed the tag video, and I got it uploaded that night, and then it was up, and I didn't have any regrets about it. It wasn't hard, but I understand why it would be for some people. What is one thing you did that really helped you grow your channel? For me, I've kind of answered this one already. Making friends on Booktube helps, and then consistency. Will you film an updated bookshelf tour? No. Nope. I did say to someone though, if and when I hit 50K, when that happens, I will film a bookshelf tour. But otherwise I will not. No matter how many people ask me, no matter how many people want it, I will not film a bookshelf tour. I have almost 2,000 books. Filming a bookshelf tour takes hours, and the editing takes hours, and I just don't need or want to do it. Nope. The film equipment that you use. Okay, so here we go. Let's list this. So I use my phone. I currently have the Galaxy 20 Plus, whatever it is. I use KineMaster. I'll put a picture of the app. I pay $3.99 for premium access to this, which means I can take the watermark off. You can use it as a free version, but there'll be a little watermark that says made by KineMaster on it, okay? And then I use Creative Cloud Express from Adobe for all of my graphics and like anything that I'm making that I'm inserting, and I pay $9.99. This is also on my phone. And then my ring light, which I do have a pretty expensive one this time. This one's $100, but I used to just have a really like cheap one that like worked fine. This is my favorite that I've had now. That is all the equipment that I use. Okay, that's all of it. So if you don't have the ring light and you use I use natural light for a very long time. I mean, it is tricky. Your lighting will be bad, but I use natural light for a long time before I invested in a ring light. So total, you could spend like $15 a month plus whatever your phone is and do what I do. So there you go. Do you have advice for your younger book self? I would say that don't read what everyone else tells you to read. Faster. So, wow, that was all of the channel related stuff. It was a lot. Let's dive into some more like personal things. I think I meant pets to be a personal one, but there you go. Oh, this was another question about how do you balance content creating? And I already said like I don't have a life, so we don't do that. Have you ever considered writing a book? Yes. I don't have any more to say about that. Yes, I have considered writing a book, but I would have to stop reading to write a book. Ask any of your favorite authors who they will say that the biggest sacrifice they've had to make is that they don't get to read as much as they'd like to. And I'm not ready to do that. How do you organize your shelves? I don't have them organized. I just don't. They're not. I put favorite books in shelves that will be behind me. I do have like dark romance in a shelf, but it's not organized. I don't do the alphabetical. I do that by size and what they look like. So I'm kind of boring. If you could be any type of paranormal, which would you be? I would be either a witch or a fae. I like the idea of having cool powers and stuff. What's your reading speed and how many hours do you read a day? This is a great question, and it's tough to like really pinpoint it because every day is different. But based on my stats, which I do keep, I keep my, like monthly things. I have averaged, over the past couple of years that I've been tracking this, I average between 550 and 700 pages per day over that time, okay? Specifically the last like 2.5 years, that's about what I read. And now estimating, I probably read about 8 to 12 hours a day. When I'm at work, that's like spread out over the other stuff I'm doing. I've said I work a job where I'm able to listen to an audiobook, and sometimes I'm even reading on my phone. Like Friday at work, I was just tired of listening, and so I was reading on my phone for the last 2 hours of the day because nothing was happening. I'm not like consistently reading when I'm at work, obviously the way that I can at home. So that's why I said it's between 8 to 12, but I'm able to read all the time. That's why I can read 2 books a day, maybe. So that's what my reading speed is. What I would say is that I read between 500 and 700 pages a day. what is your favorite film or TV adaptation from a book you love? So this is a little bit skewed because my favorite adaptation, like, I don't love the book, so that's why I love the show more, or the movie more, and that's The Count of Monte Cristo, the 2002 version with James Caviezel. This is my favorite film ever, and in my opinion, the film version of the book is superior, in my opinion, just saying. And then for a TV adaptation for books that I love, it's actually Little House. Now, that TV adaptation is nothing like that book, but it gives me the same feels of like family, love, and like some petty problems, some very serious, but everything's happy by the end of the episode, you know, unless it's a two-parter and then there's a cliffhanger. But Little House was one of my favorite shows as a kid. What do you do for a living? I'm an executive assistant / like the front desk person. So I work for a financial institution. It's a private one that does financial planning. And yeah, I sit at the front desk, but I also do the owner of the company. I'm like his personal assistant, but he doesn't need like tons of stuff done by me, but I do, like, I will pay his bills and the dry cleaning and make sure he knows the schedule for his kids and stuff. But then I also do the scheduling of meetings for the company. So it's basically secretary work. I've taken a huge pay cut. I used to work for Microsoft. I worked for Microsoft for 5 years. Microsoft has one of their main offices is in Fargo, where I live, and I loved working for them. I got paid a lot of money, but I didn't want to be in sales anymore. So I took a big pay cut to work where I work now. But because of YouTube, I can do that. I was able to take that pay cut, and YouTube supplements what I was making at Microsoft. I now make here, which is amazing. So love that for me. How do you find so much time to read? I think I said that. I'm able to read at work. And then also, I mean, you've heard many creators say this. I always have like at least 2 ways to read with me all the time. Obviously, audiobooks. I use the Kindle app on my phone. I also have a physical Kindle, and I use physical books. I always have one of those with me. When I'm going shopping, I'm listening to a book. When I'm driving, it's on my radio. It's playing in my Bluetooth. I'm listening at work. When I'm at home, I'm pretty much like always reading a book. That's how I have so much time. I say this over and over again. And I know a lot of people too, they're asking questions because like it was also part of like the giveaway to ask me these questions. But I know that there's always new subscribers all the time who don't know these things about me. But literally I just read all the time. So that's how I'm able to. Okay, and that was all of them for the personal. So now we're going to do category number 3. Good, I talked faster with that, which is going to be like books and tropes. So people are asking me like your favorite of this or whatever, okay? So what book do you recommend most to newbie romance readers? So I don't have a specific book for this. So what I say to people when they say, I'm new to romance, number one, I tell them you're actually probably not, because there's plenty of stories and movies and things you've seen that are romance, but they're maybe categorized as something else. Because remember, a romance is anything with like an HEA, and the romance is central. So there are a lot of like general fiction books that they are romance. But anyway, point being, I actually had a viewer the other day ask me like, my husband wants to try some romance, but I don't know where to start with him. And what I told her is what I tell everyone who says they want to start. First, I ask, what are your favorite genres? What are your favorite genres that you think are romance? Is it fantasy? Is it sci-fi? Do you like suspense? Do you like a thriller? What do you like? And then pick a romance in that category. I know that sounds simple, and I know I maybe sound a little condescending when I say it, but I think people are more scared of the romance genre than they think, and they're waiting for me to give them a magic recommendation. And like, that's not how it goes. Because every person's different. And like, we are going to talk about some of my favorite books in some of these questions. But when someone's new to it, I don't recommend that. Like, if your husband is reading like Brandon Sanderson, like epic fantasy, which is amazing. I love Brandon Sanderson, that I recommend them a Julia Quinn historical fluffy romance. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would say, okay, you like high fantasy. Why don't you try A Heart of Blood and Ashes? Or why don't you, have them try something that's in a similar genre, just now the romance is the main focus. So it will still have all of these surrounding elements that they're familiar with, but now there's a little bit of sexy time happening. But, you know. So I recommend that like with thrillers, or that like try a romantic suspense. Try recommending, you know, a Trisha Wolfe to them, like there's serial killer in there or whatever, you know, and see how those go. So that's my recommendation for newbies to romance genre, is what is your other favorite genre, and now add romance to the end of it, because any genre there is, you can add romance to the end of it. It's maybe like a biography, but then maybe that person had a romance in real life. So there you go. So I know I'm talking quickly, but holy crap, we got a lot of questions. What keeps you hooked on the romance genre? HEAs. I am a dopamine addict. I stay with romance because I know that there's the happily ever after at the end. So I'm willing to tiptoe to them other places. So I read Empire of the Vampire last summer, or when it came out, because I do like that author quite a bit. But I knew that he would probably have a little bit of smut in his book. He would probably have relationships. But would there be an HEA? I can't promise myself that there will be one. And that is high anxiety for me. It is high anxiety for me if I don't know that I'm getting an HEA by the end of this story or the end of the series or whatever. It is high stress for me. So what keeps me hooked on the genre is the dopamine rush of happily ever after. If you could have any romance book made into a movie, TV show, which one would you choose? So I do have a stack of books over here because I went through these questions before. You're going to see this book show up a few times in this video. No surprise. I picked The Takeover. I think this book would make an amazing movie. Of course, I'm terrified, like y'all, because this is my, like, one of my favorite books of all time. So it is terrifying to put it in the hands of someone. It is. However, I think this could make an amazing movie. It has a really fun beginning to it. It has it's funny, it's sexy, it's steamy. It could even still be great if it wasn't overly steamy, even though I'd want it to be. I get it. But like, this could be a fantastic story, you know, of this single bachelor, this hotshot who falls for a single mom. I think it could be amazing. So I also wouldn't want, like, I don't totally love how historical romances or like fantasy are made into movies. I don't think they can ever do it quite justice the way that an author can, but this is a contemporary romance. I'd be terrified for them to do it, but I think it could make a really, really great one. Could be great. Who is your favorite underrated author? Currently, in this moment, it is Jess Wisecup, and I wouldn't say she's like underrated because she's brand new. She's a brand new author. This is her first book. It just came out in February. I've talked about this many, many times. I don't have the time to do it in this video because this video is already going to be an hour and I'm stressed about it, but she's my like new favorite underrated person right now because she's brand new. So definitely go read this. It's a fantasy. The heroine is in her 30s. She's a mom. She is, I don't say plus size, but normal-ish plumper body type, and it's a second chance romance. It's amazing. What is an underused trope that you enjoy, and what are some recommendations? So this one, it's kind of weird being a trope, but my specific underrated trope is there's a fight between the hero and the heroine, and the hero isn't willing to just give up, but he's willing to take a breath and have them talk about it again. So my trope is like there's an argument that isn't the third act conflict. There's an argument that isn't the make or break moment. It's an argument, and then we work on it. And my two for that are Thief of Shadows by Elizabeth Hoyt. This hero, he is so wise. He is sexy. He is brave. I love him so much. He's amazing. And then Grip from the Grip trilogy, he also does this. Like, he doesn't let arguments be a relationship ender. And I love that because that's real life to me. We have arguments all the time. That was actually a number 4 that I read that one, so apologies, but we're getting through this. Are there any books that you wish you had read in the past when you had different taste that in reading that if you read it now, you wouldn't like it? That's a confusing one. So basically one that I wish I'd read it earlier when I had different taste. I say From Blood and Ash with this. I don't see myself ever reading this series because I've heard too many mixed things from people that I really love. I know a lot of people love it. I know you do, but some people that I very much love, like, just do not like this series, and I don't think I would. But I think that if I had read this 10 years ago, if this series had been coming out, I would have ate it up with a spoon. Which heroine do you resonate with the most? I have a couple for this. I actually have Penelope from Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, Levain from Entreat Me, and Nesta from A Court of Silver Flames. I think my personality is somewhere in between all three of those. Are there any subgenres of romance that you want to try more that you haven't yet? No. The ones I want to try, I have. There aren't really any others that I'm like, oh, I need that. What book or series have you read the most? That's easy. East by Edith Patel. I've been reading this book since I was 14, and I've read it almost every year since then. There's a couple skips in there, but this is a middle grade fantasy, and it is my favorite book of all time. Ever. Love it. What are your favorite old school historical romances? Can you get past consent issues in them? So a couple of my favorites. The Sherbrooke Bride by Catherine Coulter. This was one of my first historical romances I ever read. And then Shanna by Kathleen Woodwise. I actually just read this one last year. Those are two of my favorite. I can get past it sometimes. It really just depends on if it's consistently horrible throughout the whole book, like if the consent issues are horrible the whole way through, or if they are like how they are used. Because most of the time I'm just like, meh, it's how it was written and it doesn't bother me. What are your favorite and least favorite tropes? My favorites are enemies to lovers and arranged marriage. Two of my favorites. I also love age gap, but that can be in any of those. And my least favorite is secret baby. Secret baby will almost never work for me unless it's in the mafia or the woman feels like she's in danger. Surprise baby, I love. Secret baby, don't. It can die with fire. Not the child, the trope. What is a book you wish you hadn't read? The Skeleton King. That's it. That's all I have to say. What's your average of DNFs a month, and what makes you DNF? It depends. Like, there's the last couple months I didn't have any, but it's usually one or two because I don't read books that I think I'll DNF, and I also don't push through some that I don't. So there are quite a few books that I guess are technically DNF because I started them and didn't finish them, but they're also like, I only read 10 pages and I was like, I don't like this writing style, or I don't like this, or whatever. The things that will cause me to DNF are if I'm getting frustrated with the characters, or if I discover that it has a trope that I don't like, or I just honestly get bored. Those are the things. What keeps you hooked on the romance genre? I already answered that one. HEA. Least favorite romance subgenre and why? It's reverse harem. It doesn't work for me. That's it. What are your most anticipated books in the next quarter, it says? Anastasia by Sophie Lark. Very excited for that. And A Dance of Smoke and Bone by Milavaine, if we're ever really going to get it. I will keep saying it's anticipated until I have it. And then what's the best book that I read because of Booktube? I will say Sarah J. Maas, because she's one of the reasons why I was watching Booktube in the beginning, and now we're going to do the SJM along, and I'm so excited. Okay, now we're in the fourth category. I know we're like speeding through this, but I wanted to try to do everybody's questions, and I still don't have them all. So this one is just like, it's recommendations. So I know that I was kind of sharing some things. So this one is, what is the #1 book you recommend everyone who asks you for a romance rec? The Takeover. Already have said that. It's my favorite romance ever. Most surprising books you've read so far this year. So again, I'll share Between Wrath and Mercy. I was almost getting bored with this. Now, I don't want that to say that it's a lull. I was almost at that point, and then this book just took off, and I loved it. Also, I would say Manacled. Was not expecting this fanfic to be like the favorite thing I'd read in forever. And then also Soul Eater, because I wasn't feeling this cover, and I didn't realize what a sweet gay monster romance this was going to be. Loved it. My throat's going. We're almost done. What is your favorite reverse harem book? So it's going to be The Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. I've only read a few because, as I just previously said, I don't like reverse harem. And when people recommend reverse harem to me, I immediately delete the comment because I'm not going to read it. But I've read this and I will read the next one, but it's a very specific thing for me. Your all-time favorite books: Outlander, The Takeover, and Carnal Urges are currently, well, and East. I said that one too, but those are my favorite books. What book would you like to read again for the first time? So I actually said A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Milivane. This book was such an experience for me. I hold it so dear to my heart, and I kind of wish I could experience it for the first time again. What are your favorite shops to get bookish stickers from? So that one's kind of random. I will tag them down below. So in Love and Words, my friend Brie makes stickers for, she has some fun, like, these ones, Gentlemen in the Streets, Rake in the Sheets, are from her. And then she has this like book horror and I Will Go Down with This Ship. I love some of her stickers. And then someone I recently discovered is the Lila June Co. They're both on Etsy. I will share them down below. And then the last one is, what romance besides Outlander do you recommend the most often? And that is The Takeover. Whew. So I'm sorry that felt like a speed round, but I knew I was going to talk a lot in the first part. And thank you everyone who sent me questions. Thank you for supporting me and watching me for all this time. It's been amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to keep making videos for you. Can't wait to see where we are in 1 year, in 4 more years, what that's going to look like. And I just love you all so much. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you made it to the end of this, please leave me a big old pink heart because I need it. Have a great day. Bye.